Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I'm so glad that you are here with us today for another episode in our series of Active Balance in Life. You know, balance is such an essential part of our well-being, and finding it can sometimes feel like, an ongoing challenge. But today, our episode is all about navigating that journey towards balance. And we are fortunate to have a very special guest joining us to share her incredible insights. And that's Dr. Dolores Fazzino. Dr. Fazzino is a doctor of nursing practice, a medical intuitive, and someone who has beautifully blended spirituality with conventional medicine. She's helped countless of individuals achieve harmony in their lives by focusing on mind-body connection. But before we dive in, I want to remind you about some valuable resources that can help you along your own journey towards balance. We have a free mini ebook called 5 Simple Ways to Set Your Intentions for a Harmonious Life, available on our website, as well as for those who are looking for a deeper connection. We also have a page, 102 pages, ebook workbook called The Balancing Act of Guide to Harmonizing Your Life. Both resources are designed to just give you the practical tools that you need to integrate a balance into your daily life, what fits for you. And if you're ready to take on these next steps further, also join our 21-day Living in Life Balance Challenge, where we provide daily exercise and reflections to help you live more harmonious in your life. But again, before we get into the topic and we bring Dr. Dolores to the stage, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your Security Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to embark on a journey toward harmony and balance? Join us for our exciting new challenge, the 21 Days Living Balance Challenge on the Season of Self-Love podcast, as part of our monthly series, The Act of Balancing Life. This challenge will guide you through daily practices designed to help you harmonize your mind, body, and spirit. Whether you're juggling work, relationships, or self-care, we're here to support you every step of the way. Don't wait, sign up now to take part in this transformative experience starting October 1st. Together, we'll build a community of balance seekers ready to embrace joy and self-discovery. Visit our website or click the link in our bio to join the challenge today. Let's find our balance together.
Hey, my beautiful people. This is your girl, your host, Nyomi Banks here of the Season of Self-Love. And I just want to take a quick moment to share some exciting resources from our series, The Act of Balancing Life. Are you ready to bring more harmony into your life? Well, we have a free mini ebook just for you. 5 simple ways to set your intentions for a harmonious life. It's perfect for helping you to align your goals with your values. And if you're ready to go a deeper dive, check out our 102-page ebook/workbook, Balancing Act, a guide to harmonizing your life, loaded with strategies and exercises. Plus, don't miss our 21-day challenge of living life in balance. Head over to our website right now and grab you a free mini ebook and start your journey towards a balanced life today. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your Security Goddess Nyomi Banks here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute.
to the
Come by.
reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on our
That's a
website,
really
the
big
season
barrier.
of self-love
Really big barrier.
podcast.com.
Let me ask you this. With the truth, is it
Right. Well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love Podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks. And today we're talking about navigating life balance with Dr. Dolores Fazzino that's here right here to help us in this. I'm loving this new series that we do every month, we do a new series. Last month, we were talking about healing beyond betrayal. And this month is all about the balancing of our life. You know, sometimes we look at life being balanced like this, and it's not always like that. It depends on where you are in life to make it where it feels balanced for you. And I am so happy to have you here with us. Not only are you medical, but also you spiritual. So you're combining them both to help us with our even balance. So Ms. Dolores, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Nyomi. It's a pleasure to be here and with your listeners as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Dr. Dolores, what I usually do is kind of do a nice grounded meditation really quick, like a nice minute and a half pre-recorded that I do just to help us get grounded before we get into our topic. All right.
Absolutely. I'm all for that.
Thank you. All right. So my listeners, as always, we begin today's episode with a nice brief guided meditation. So if you all get to a comfortable position. I want you to get in a nice, comfortable position. If you can, and go ahead and close your eyes or soften your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and want you to slowly exhale out your mouth. I want you to repeat that again. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Letting go of any stress or tension. Now focus on your intention for balance in your life. I want you to picture yourself standing in the middle of a calm, serene space where everything feels aligned. I want you to visualize harmony between your work, relationship, health, and personal time. Now, as you breathe and you see these areas of your life flowing together effortlessly, creating a sense of peace. Now, I want you to inhale balance, exhale tension. Now, when you are ready, I want you to bring your awareness back to this moment. Take one more deep breath in and exhale. Thank you. All right, again, thank you, Dr. Dolores, for just joining me in this session. If you're new here to this, and if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love Podcast, it's something that we do every day, Monday through Friday. Again, just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand. Now, Doctor, I am so thrilled to have you here with us today.
Well, Nyomi, what would you like to know?
I read a bit of your story on your page, and your journey has been truly fascinating. You spent over 40 years in healthcare, in the healthcare industry, blending traditional medicine with spiritual healing. So can you share a little bit with us about your background and how you came to integrate those two worlds?
Oh my gosh. It's like, thank you. I'd love to share that story because, I think each one of us has those moments in our lives where they're pivotal changes. And believe it or not, I was on a trajectory as a young person to be a concert clarinetist. Oh. And in the 11th hour, pretty much when I was a junior in high school, I got to witness a miraculous healing of my father's health condition, which he had for over 10 years. He ended up having back surgery in the early 60s and got a hospital-acquired infection, and he was on his deathbed. And for me, in order to express my emotions, because we weren't allowed to feel in our house. So I channeled it into music. A lot of times people, especially if you're an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person, you have to have an outlet for that expression. And when you're in a family that doesn't allow you to feel, or, pretend it's not there, it's going to go away.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. When you pretend it's not there, it grows bigger.
Yeah.
So channeling my energy and my emotion into music was my coping mechanism. And so over the 10 years, my dad, we talk about the highs and the lows. My childhood was like an emotional roller coaster, because there would be times where my dad would be fine. And then all of a sudden, when his immune system got compromised, this whole sequela of events would occur. He would be in the hospital for over 2 months. He would be on his deathbed. We didn't know whether or not he was going to survive. And, maybe he was going to get better, maybe he didn't. So it was a very difficult 10 years of uncertainty. And so flash forward to the mid 1970s, my mom was at her wit's end, because, having to deal with a husband with illness and a child, 4 children on top of that. I mean, my mom was a hot mess. And so finally the CAT scanner got developed in the mid 1970s, which was the first piece of modern technology that was used as a diagnostic thing. So they put my dad underneath the CAT scanner, and they found where all his problems were stemming from was when he had his original surgery back about 10 years prior. So their solution at the time was what they call a spinal fusion. And in 1975, it was in its real beginnings of development. So it came with a very high risk of like death, being paralyzed, or maybe you would do okay. My mom had enough of Western medicine and started looking for alternative solutions. And you have to remember, in 1975, we didn't have Google MD. We didn't have the computers. We had snail mail, and we had, the newspaper rag. So out comes the National Enquirer. I kid you not. She found this minister who was being featured in 1975. His name was Reverend Alex Holmes from Cairo, Michigan, and he had the gift of laying on of hands, and he was able to assist his brother in healing from leukemia. So back, you have to understand, in 1975, this was considered quackery, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And in 1975, Reverend Holmes had been doing this work for at least 25 years. So he had been doing it since the 1950s, and he had some success in assisting people in their healing. And so my mom was all over this, like, butter on bread. My dad, not so much. He was the biggest skeptic. And it just so happened that they were in the hospital, because my dad had been hospitalized at the time when my mom, suggested this to my father. And he said, only if the surgeon agrees. Now, what I'm going to share with you next is where a whole sequela of what I call God moments occur. So things get set up behind the scenes in ways you have no idea. So my mom marches out to the nurse's station, and there's the doctor surgeon sitting there, and she announces to him that I'm thinking about having a spiritual healer come in to assist my husband with his condition. And the surgeon's writing his notes, looks up at her and says, sure, that would be fine. My mom got the blessing from the surgeon, went back to my father's room, shared that piece of information with my dad. My dad was, okay, let's do it. Not 10 minutes go by. My mom goes back out to the same nurse's station, same surgeon sitting there, and announced to the surgeon, my husband agreed to have the spiritual healer come in to assist with his care. The surgeon stopped what he was doing, looked at her and said, what are you talking about? I never agreed to that. So my mom didn't share that piece of information with my dad. And a month later, Reverend Holmes was in our humble home in Connecticut. My mom flew him out from Michigan. And my 2 grandmothers were there with my 2 sisters and brother and my parents. And Reverend Holmes was very humble and wise man, and his energy was just very beautiful and pure. And he noticed, looking at my dad, that one of his legs was shorter than the other. Don't ask me how he knew this, but he did. My dad, that was true. And my dad used to wear lifts in his shoes, but my dad was barefoot and his slippers and shoes were nowhere in sight. So he asked my father to put both his feet up, and you could tell that there was a 1-inch gap when he put a a flat surface on the longer leg. And he said, okay, lower your legs. And then he touched my dad's belly, his solar plexus, and the top of his head, his crown chakra, and said some prayers. And he said, in about 2 or 3 minutes, he said, raise both your legs, and they were both the same length. In that moment, I knew my life changed forever, because I knew it was my mission in my lifetime to bridge what can be seen and what can't be seen, and combining the physical with the spiritual and the visible with the invisible. Now, my dad started wailing like a baby because he was a big skeptic. He needed to witness that something actually was happening. More prayers were said over my father in that session. And then he was instructed to lie and rest, which is a normal thing when you have massive energy work done in your energy field, because just like a computer getting an upgraded program, it needs to reboot and calibrate itself. How humans do that is sometimes by resting and sleeping. So he slept for over 24 hours. And then a month later, he went back to the CAT scanner, and they found no evidence of his condition. He never had to revisit that condition in his lifetime, never had to have the surgery, and he passed away about 12 years ago at the age of 80.
Wow.
Yeah, so my life has been that trajectory, and you have to understand that I was dealing with, okay, I know this is what my mission is. This is where we're at right now. This was considered like absurdity, and like it wasn't, you can't it doesn't exist type of baloney. But we know that there are things that we just know that are appropriate, but we don't have the technology or the tools to measure that as evidence-based. So, for me, I'm Western medicine trained. I have a doctorate in nursing practice, which is the end educational track for a nurse practitioner, a certified nurse midwife, a nurse anesthetist, or a clinical nurse specialist. I've done clinical research in, proving evidence-based. It's a bunch of malarkey, because statistics are always manipulated. We have this fallacy that evidence-based means that it's happening and it's effective. I call BS on that, because I don't believe that's true. And I've had numerous dialogues with colleagues over my career, especially the real staunch cerebral people who are, Western medicine trained. And there's some very talented people, trust me on that. However, the illusion is that they hide behind evidence-based. And I've had a discussion one time with an anesthesiologist that said, Dolores, what you do isn't evidence-based, so it really isn't effective. And I said to him, well, let's talk about the evidence-based medicine you practice. Help me understand why FDA rushes a new med through, and it's got all these bells and whistles. It's advertised, it's rushed through, it's put on the market, and 2 years later, there's a class action lawsuit, and it's pulled because all the bad things it does. I said, is this the evidence-based medicine you practice? I said, okay, so you're hiding behind this illusion, number one. Number two, I said to him, if one person has a good result from what I do, that's enough evidence-based for me.
Yeah.
End of conversation. So it's been an interesting thing, because when you are playing on the cusp of the fringes like I do, and I'm very comfortable there, you get challenged and you don't know what's going to come out of your mouth, because it was just like, it was channeled, and it just went blah, 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 blah. But my point is that people put a lot of, I'm going to say, value in something that's outside of themselves, instead of just trusting that inner wisdom we have within ourselves. And we're at a time in humanity's evolution that this is where we take our power back.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you. Again, this is why I have the season of self-love, because that it with the season of self-love, it helps us to encourage and empower us within ourselves.
Absolutely.
We're loving ourselves and knowing and have faith within ourselves. And the only way we can do that is do the self-healing that we do, is to really deep down inside of us, and kind of, shut all of the noise that's around us and get connected with ourselves. It's kind of like having an intimate relationship with yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I call it becoming your own best friend.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And I have a series that I put together for that too, because I believe the longest relation, we know this, the longest relation you're ever going to have in your life is the one you have with yourself. But by God, it's just like we are the meanest and the most cruel people, even to ourselves,
Yes.
because even the self-talk that you say to yourself in the quiet of your mind is not, it's not good, folks.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something when you're awake enough, you could switch that and change that. The other thing that, I think is really important to say too, is that, self-growth and personal growth is not for the weak of heart.
No.
It's going to transform your life in ways you have no idea.
Yes.
Yet we cling on to what was, and it was just like, oh my God. Did you ever think that maybe you're getting energetically upgraded to something even better?
Yes. 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 Thank you for that. Yes. Thank you for that.
You're welcome, Nyomi. But the thing is, it's like so many of us hang on to things that we have energetically outgrown.
Yes.
Or they were created when we were in another time and place. And maybe it was created out of a fear-based reality versus where we're going into a love, appreciation, abundance energy. Okay.
Yes.
So here you are down here, but yet you're going up here, but you're hanging on to something that's like a weight around your waist that's keeping you here. It's like, yeah, let go of that job. Yeah, it's paying your bills. But the thing is, it's like maybe there's something better for you that you have no idea.
Exactly. Ooh.
It's just like you have to have a lot of blind faith and trust now, because there is no certainty in the outer world. It's about becoming certain within yourself.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I love that. Oh, I love that. All right. So I love that. But what I want to go to this, often we focus on treating our symptoms without addressing the deeper root causes. And why I'm saying this right now, it's because I had these really bad migraines, right?
Yeah.
And I've been having these bad migraines probably for over 40-something years,
Oh, wow.
40-something years. And I can remember when I left Chicago and I moved to California, in that 10, 12-year span from me leaving Chicago and moving to California, I didn't have any migraines. I didn't have any migraines. I didn't have anything. Yes. So then when I had my last baby at 40 years old, and I was on bed rest the whole entire time.
Oh, wow.
Now this was a shift. I know now, but I didn't know it then. This was kind of like a shift, not only in my career, but myself spiritually. This is where things within myself spiritually and things and gifts has started to awaken. But I didn't know that. I didn't have that inner circle that can tell me what was really going on with my body. So in that midst of, and actually, I just got an answer for my question that I had later on, but I'm going to keep going. And so in the midst of all of that, my migraines came back, and they're now stronger than ever. Like medication won't do anything for them. So I actually have an appointment to go see a neurologist next week and a CAT scan to help me to get rid of all of these headaches. But in the midst of all of this, as I'm speaking to you and just you talking before, is that I'm holding on to so many things that are no longer aligned with me.
Yeah. And sometimes, Nyomi, just the realization of that is enough to shift that.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Because, all right, I'm going to give you and your audience an analogy. We're like us human beings, okay? First of all, everything is energy, okay? What you and I are seeing are a denser form and demonstration of what energy is. If you were to put us or even the objects in our rooms under a high-powered microscope, you could see that they're vibrating. So that's energy. That is what we could see. The things that we can't see, I'm going to give you the analogy of this, an iceberg, okay? You could see the tip of the iceberg. That's our physicalness, okay? But below the surface is all our emotions and how we've dealt with things, our beliefs, our thoughts, our connectedness to ourself, our ancestral lineage, and also the dimensional stuff that's going on. This is all below the surface that's motivating and creating this physical thing that you could see. Now, I feel in Western medicine, we do a huge disservice to our clients because what you see is the tip of the iceberg, and we're treating everybody's tip of the iceberg the same.
Yeah.
But the thing is, how they got to the tip of the iceberg is all uniquely different to them.
Yeah.
And unless we address what's going on underneath the surface, guess what? No pill, no procedure, and no other thing is going to help that. It's like a Band-Aid technique.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about coming in from our head into our body. It's blending this with this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could become more fully grounded in your body. Did you know that when you are in here, you're never in the present moment? You are living in the past or living in the future.
Yes.
Okay. You're not in the present moment. Did you know that when you drop from here to here, this is where you're able to ground yourself in your body and you are in the present moment? Now, people are saying, well, how do I do that? It's just like, what's the thing? I have episodes where I pop in there and I pop right back out. It's awareness, becoming aware, okay? Because this is where we all have choice. You could make a different choice. Yeah. Now, one of the best ways to get to here, and I call it like a gateway procedure, is doing a mindful activity, okay? And let's define mindful activity. Mindful activity is anything that's going to allow you to be in the present moment. We have all had those things where you either are doing, reading something and you get lost in the book for hours and then you feel like 5 minutes go by and it's like 4 hours later. Some people, it's as structured as doing, meditation to just going outside and gardening.
Yeah.
But the key point is like each individual needs to find out what their mindful activity is, because this is going to get them to ground zero so they could be fully planted in their body, because it's the timelessness of having no sense of time or lost time. Okay. So when you're there in that position, you're able to tap into that little voice that you hear in your head. That's your intuition, because you have to be quiet in order to hear that. Sometimes it's so subtle. It's not like, hello, you need to do something now. It's, Dolores, pay attention to this. It's like a little soft voice. But if you're not quiet enough or, in your body, you're not going to hear it. So it's teaching people how to, number one, have like a mindful activity and find out what's right for you and what you're going to resonate with.
Yeah.
We've all had our grandparents and great-grandparents that, especially the women, their mindful activity was doing like either sewing, tatting, crocheting, knitting. That was a mindful activity.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that you get lost in time.
Yes.
So that was a mindful activity. We're having a renaissance and we need to come back to doing those things so you could be grounded within yourself and know what is the right next move for you, not your husband, not your kids, not your neighbor, but for you.
You. Mm-hmm. You know what? I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. And why I say thank you for that is that we spoke about mindfulness the other day on here. And there's a lot of things that I was telling them that I had learned, especially when you first do meditation and you really first get into that, you always think that you have to do it that one way. You have to sit with your legs folded, your arms, and that's the only way.
Who
and
made that rule up?
And I remember sharing a story with them the very first time that I was actually walking. I was walking in meditation and being mindful in that moment. And I remember being able to, I was definitely afraid of birds, anything with birds, ducks, geese, like period. And I remember I used to take this walk every morning in the park, and it always would be this group of 20 geese or ducks or whatever you want to call it would just interrupt my whole flow of walking. And so this particular day, I kind of like zoned out. And I was just listening to the chirps and, but in the wind, and I swore that I heard a sound coming from the sunbeam. That's
Mm.
how focused that I was. And
Yeah.
before I knew it, I had walked through those 20 geese and was on the other side. And I turned around and was like, I don't even remember walking through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I did not walking through that. But then as you were speaking, just another confirmation for me again. And I know I share this all the time with my audience because I remember when my mom first got diagnosed with dementia last year, the day after
Mhm.
Christmas.
Mhm.
And that first initial reaction that we had, we thought that was like a curse, like the death of us, right?
Mm.
But throughout going through and doing this podcast and just learning, I found it as a gift. And what is a gift for me is that it's allowing and teaching me how to be in the moment, be
Yeah.
mindful right now versus to
Mhm.
thinking about the past and thinking about the future. Because when I communicate with her, the only way that I can communicate with her right now is in this moment right now.
That's right.
That's it. So when you say, I almost had tears in my eyes as you were speaking, because it was just like, here is confirmation for you once again. Do you understand that?
Nyomi, I want to add one other thing too. I would also, with your mom, just one thing. Does she like music?
Oh, she loves it now. She
Okay,
loves
good.
it now. I didn't
Okay.
know how much she loved it, but she loves it now. Yeah.
Okay. So there, if you go onto YouTube, 528 hertz music is the frequency of rejuvenation, cellular rejuvenation and DNA rejuvenation. And you could download tracks that are like 10 hours and just play it in the background. And just, maybe when she goes to bed at night, just play it. This might be assistive to her as well.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's something that I realized. She loves music now. I don't ever remember seeing as we grew up. I knew my dad used to dance all the time. He was like, the party animal. But my mom was always very reserved and demure, as what they would say right now.
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm.
she would never do it. But now she like dancing queen. She loves the music, and she, in the kitchen when she's cooking, and she, that is her thing now is
Oh,
music.
good.
Yeah,
Good.
when and so now doing this podcast, it helps me to better not only communicate with her, but also to understand her. It
Yeah.
shows me, it teaches me compassion. And this is what we have to teach ourselves as well. You know how
Yeah.
we always say that, we have to have grace for ourselves.
Oh
This is
my
part
goodness, yes.
of having that faith and that love and that self-love for yourself to be able to acknowledge the energy that we have within ourselves. Like you said before, we always look outside of ourselves for the answer or for something, for a solution. How about I start to go back in to ourselves? Because even before medicine came along, this is how we were healing ourselves. This is what our ancestors were doing, healing
Absolutely.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that's the one thing I want to remind you and also your audience is that we are innately wired to heal ourselves. Okay. We have everything we need to heal ourselves. Yet for some rhyme or reason, we've given that power away to something outside of ourselves. And it's about taking your power back, but also allowing yourself to hear the wisdom that your body, soul, and mind have for you.
Yeah.
Because it has an innate plethora of things that are the right thing for you. And maybe it's about learning how to take a deep archaeological dive into the depths of who you are and to look at some things that, maybe you were afraid to go there. Because our natural tendency sometimes is not to feel the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And what I want to remind people is that emotions are learning experiences. We label them as positive or negative, but they are the inner barometer that allows us to have the growth opportunities that we came to Earth for. Okay. for many of us, this might be a stretch for the audience, but we pre-planned our life before we actually came here. Like who you were going to meet, the things that you needed to learn in this lifetime. Maybe you needed to learn to speak up for yourself in your lifetime. So you've had themes and variations of those possibilities for you. And plus, being here on earth, we have free will. So we make choices, and people say, well, I didn't have a choice. Newsflash, you always have a choice.
Yes.
You could either decide to do nothing, which is a choice. You could blame somebody, that's a choice. Or you could step into your innate wisdom and make a different choice. We're in control here. Nobody else is doing anything to us unless you allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is so many of us on an unconscious level have allowed a lot of things to happen. So just like an iceberg, okay, tip, and then underneath, my unfavorite season of the year is summer. And I'll tell you why, because it's so hot. And that's when all my personal growth stuff seems to happen. And somebody pointed out to me, said, well, Dolores, you're just melting the iceberg. And when you melt the iceberg, what happens? The tip of it melts and it then rises up. So the unconscious stuff is coming into consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was underneath is now on the surface and above, and you have to deal with it. So it's just like, okay, thank you for that. I got it. So my point is that many of us are going through many, many challenging things right now, okay? Nobody is exempt. We are living in very interesting and crazy-making times. And I feel that when you're able to observe what's going on and not be reactive, this is where you have your power. And people say, well, how do you do that? You work on yourself. You do mindful activity. You stay grounded and centered in you, because the only thing that's going to create certainty in your life is you being certain within yourself, no matter what is going and circling around you in the spin cycle of the washing machine.
Yeah.
Just like, and it's crazy making. So it's about allowing yourself the grace, the self-compassion to come within yourself and create a relationship with yourself. It's like we're all amazing human beings, but for some reason, we've just beat ourselves to a pulp.
Yes.
And it's just like, we got to stop that madness. We do this to ourselves. So one of the things that I teach my clients sometimes when they're going through the circling thing is just focus on the word self-compassion. Okay. And, just as everything is energy, words have vibration and frequency too.
Yes.
So self-compassion is a higher vibrating word than, not liking hating yourself or, beating yourself up. That's down here. This is up here. When you just focus on the word as a mantra, it's going to start neutralizing and shifting things. It'll get you out of that rabbit hole enough. And it's so simple. It's not like you have to have like 100 pieces to the puzzle. It's one thing. It's like, and you're flipping switches and things are happening so quickly right now. Mm-hmm. It's your awareness that's really essentially important. So paying attention to what you're saying to yourself, what's coming out of your mouth, and how you're speaking to other people. Because what we're seeing in our society is a collective consciousness of all the stuff that has happened throughout time and age. And when you're able to see a different outcome out here, it's a reflection of what's happening in here. So if you're seeing a lot of hate and, badness, that is triggering something within you. Look at yourself and just say, okay, I'm not going to react to this, but why am I being triggered? What's going on inside of me that is allowing me to do that? Because it all starts with self first.
Yeah.
People think it's something out here that's creating. No, folks, newsflash, it's not. It starts here. So when you're able to shift those things and what you're feeling about yourself your viewpoint and what you're seeing outside of yourself is going to be more in alignment with who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I had this conversation with a guest a few days ago, and we were talking about mirror imaging. And I said, that's something that we don't really realize, is that we as people, we're mirror imaging each other. Each other, we do. And, you know, especially when you're talking about triggering, you know, when you trigger someone or you make someone feel a certain way. For him, I interviewed his partner probably last month sometime. They got an amazing business. And he said, you know, I can't wait till you interview this guy. I don't want to say his name. He said, because, you know, I'm just going to let you find out about him. And so as this young man was talking, you know, he's very confident, you know, words, and he was just speaking. And I thought that was a great, amazing. And he said, you know what? He said, I am truly shocked. He said, because usually I will intimidate people and people will look at me strangely from the words that I was saying about, you know, my adventure, my life, or what I went through. I said, but you were telling your truth. Who am I to tell you about your truth? Who am I to judge your truth?
Oh my
Who am
God,
I
yeah.
to judge your journey? If anything, I thank you for sharing that, because you don't know how many other people have sort of like your journey too, because we are a mirror imaging of one another. Yeah.
And Nyomi, not only that too, it's just like the thing that triggers you is never that particular thing. It's always something below the surface.
Yes.
So that's where you need to be brave and just sit with that and just feel what is happening. Because the other thing that many of us don't like to do is, God forbid, feel. We intellectualize, I think I feel. It's just like, what the hell is that? I think I feel. No.
Not all the time feeling.
Well, but the thing is, emotions have been given a bad rap. We're told to not show your feelings because, you know, God forbid, if you're vulnerable, they'll kill you or whatever.
Right.
Well, newsflash, that's an old paradigm thing that's crumbling and shifting. Your emotions are your inner guidance point. Believe it or not, when you feel something, actually you have like a sensation in your body someplace. Sometimes it's like a somatic thing. So right now, let's just do something really quick. I want you to think about something that really kind of pushes your buttons, and let me know when you're there. You don't have to tell me what it is. Just tell me when you're there.
Okay. I'm there.
Okay. So where are you feeling that? Where is the sensation in your body?
You know, right here at my jaw.
Thank you for telling me that. Okay. So what I want you to do, Nyomi, is just close your eyes right now. And in that area, just flood that area with so much love and pink light. And I'm going to talk to you as you do that. Love and pink light are unconditional love and acceptance. Oftentimes when we have discomforts in our body, our natural tendency is to numb it out, medicate it, or push it away. But really what your body wants you to do is to love and embrace that and allow it to come back to you so you become complete and whole within yourself. So just, you know, keep flooding that area with love and light, and just let me know how you're feeling right now. Has it dissipated? Has it intensified? Tell me in your words.
It has eased up. I feel it melting. Yeah.
Good.
Melting away. Yeah.
Have you noticed, did it go someplace else, that discomfort?
Right now it's going to the back of my head towards my ears.
Okay. So flood that area with a lot of love and pink light, because those are parts of you that have been fragmented off and gone to another time and place. And we're just calling it back because those things want to come back home to you so you could be reintegrated and complete and whole. And for whatever reason, it happened. And we're allowing ourselves the grace of love and compassion and self-acceptance. How you feeling?
I feel good. Because I know what that is.
Right. See, it's like you'll get insights and then it's just like, okay, so the awareness is there. So what happens, you know, the other step to that, Nyomi, is that a lot of times what we feel somatically in our body is the unconscious part.
Yeah.
We brought it from unconsciousness to consciousness. And when it comes from unconsciousness to consciousness, it could come out and it leaves because it's energy. Everything is energy. Those things are energy. It's trapped energy in our body. So when we're allowing ourselves to go there, it just neutralizes it and it goes out.
Yeah.
I invite you to try that with next time you have a migraine, to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to share with what I was thinking of and where it went and what did I come aware with. The one thing that I don't like is will trigger me is liars or people that pretend to, not being authentic. And so that hurts right here is because, and when I thought about it, that I was always told to be quiet and not voice my authentic self.
Yep.
Yeah. And then when I felt it going back to my ears, that meant that for me is that I felt like I wasn't being heard when I was speaking my authentic self. So now, oh wow. So now I use these different platforms to be able to speak my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another one. And when people think that I'm lying or I'm trying to be something that I'm not and not accepting me for who I am, this is really who I am, then that triggers me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm just going to add something to that to see if this sounds like it resonates with you. Do you have a tendency to be a people pleaser?
At times, yes.
Okay.
I am that
Or
type.
worrying about what other people think and stuff?
It's getting better. It's getting a lot better.
Okay. It's going to get better. Just know that I think that is kind of looped in it as well. Because things are like a matrix sometimes. It's not one A plus B equals C. It's a matrix. Everything's interconnected in ways you have no idea. And a lot of times it's so unconscious that it's like pulling a string in a tapestry, and you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and then you finally got the whole thing out. Or, you're probably of the same age as I. Remember the Purina dog chow?
Yeah.
Okay. You pull the string in one direction and it'd be like open, and voila, you pull it in the opposite direction. It's like driving through life with the emergency brake on.
Yes.
It's just like, so that's what it's like. It's like when you're in the flow of that, and it's just like you get the unconscious things coming to consciousness. It's like pulling on the thread and just allowing it to come on out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. I'm just in a smile on my face because it's like, okay, yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Like, okay, yeah. We have come to the end, and we really didn't get to really get into so I would love to have you back on another show.
Nyomi. That would be awesome. Thank you for the invitation.
I would love. So do this because we're wrapping up right now. I have to wrap up. Tell us where can we find you at? If you have a book, a course, what's happening? What's going on with Doctor? Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Nyomi. I appreciate that. Well, you could reach out to me through my website. It's drdoloresfazzino.com. And I have a free guided meditation that allows people to get grounded in the present moment, because many of us, like we talked earlier, are in our heads and not right here, right now in this moment. And I'm an author of several books. If you go to my website, you'll see that. But my new baby that I'm launching this November, next month, is called I'm Awake Now What? I've partnered with a colleague of mine who is a body talk practitioner, a Reiki master, and the energy work that I do. We are offering a membership community that is for people who have awoken, okay? They're on their spiritual journey, and life had been working really well for them up until that point, and then all of a sudden it's no longer working. Or maybe they've, are losing jobs, careers, homes, family life, whatever, because the energy is shifting and you are cleaning house. And this is just going to allow some support for people. It's a community. It's offering tools, resources, and a once a month live Zoom call to talk about a topic and share. because I know for me, when I was going through my journey, there was nothing available, and I want to make it easier for a lot of people.
Beautiful,
To support
beautiful.
them. Mm-hmm.
And what's your website again?
It's DrDoloresFazzino.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, thank you, Doctor, for just sharing your wisdom with us today. It's been such a powerful conversation. It truly has. There's just so many confirmations that is happening for me, and I just love it. I do. I love meeting these new, beautiful teammates, as I call you all. You all are my teammates, and I love that we are all on this serving one another journey. That is what we are. Serving one another journey. And to my listeners out there, yes, I thank you. I thank you so much for just continuing to just be here with us here on A Season of Self-Love. Is there any last words that you have for my listeners before I close out?
I just want to remind everybody just to be kind to yourself. We're going through massive changes right now, and just be kind to yourself. We are hard on ourselves, and it's time that we start being kinder, not only to ourselves, but allow it to ripple out from there and be kind to everybody else as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Again, thank you. Thank you to all of my listeners out there. I hope that today's episode inspired you to start making small changes toward creating a more balance in your life. I want you to remember that self-care and balance are very essential for our personal growth. So don't forget to check out our ebooks and join the 21-day Living Life Balance Challenge. And if you are ready to dive deeper take advantage of Dr. Fazzino's free consultation in her upcoming workshops, as well as, thank you for tuning in to the Season of Self-Love, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with anyone who might need a little extra balance in their life. I'll see you in the next episode, where we will continue our journey towards self-love and harmony. And take care. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today, and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.